Yo, listen up. Everything they've been telling you about God, it's a bunch of nonsense. They've twisted the truth, buried the real story, and fed you a version that keeps you in line. Ever wonder why so many ancient texts were banned, burned, or hidden away? Because they contained secrets that could change everything. This isn't just some wild theory, it's real. A book that was wiped from history reveals something shocking. God as you know him might not be who you think. Stick with me. Your whole perspective is about to shift. All right, let's take a step back. Think about everything you've been taught about God, creation, and the way the world works. You've probably heard the same story since you were a kid. God is the all-powerful ruler, the beginning and the end. But what if that's not the full story? What if there's something much older, something that has been hidden for centuries? Ancient texts discovered in Egypt tell a very different tale, one that was erased from history. They describe a false god, a being who tricked humanity into worshiping him. Why were these texts buried? Why were they considered so dangerous? Because they reveal that what we believe might be a carefully crafted illusion. And if that's true, then who or what was really here before God? So, here's the real problem. The God most people worship, he might not be the real deal. According to these ancient texts, he's actually an imposter named Yaldabaoth. And guess what? He didn't create this world out of love. He built it as a prison. Look around. Life feels like an endless cycle. Wake up, work, stress, sleep, repeat. That's not an accident. Yaldabaoth designed it this way, keeping people distracted with fear, rules, and false promises. His enforcers, known as the Archons, make sure no one questions the system. Ever wonder why people who seek deeper truths are silenced? Why were history's most enlightened figures cast out? If this world is a cage, the real question is, how do we break free? All right, let's break it down. Before anything else, before time, before space, there was the pleroma. Think of it as the ultimate realm of pure existence, where divine beings, the true creators, resided. They were powerful, wise, and in perfect harmony. Among them was Sophia, one of the highest and most brilliant beings in the entire cosmic order. But Sophia had a problem. She wanted to create something on her own, without consulting the other divine beings. Normally, creation was a shared process, guided by wisdom and balance, but Sophia acted alone, and that decision led to disaster. Instead of creating a being filled with divine light, she accidentally gave birth to something twisted, an incomplete, arrogant entity that had no understanding of the true nature of the universe. That being was Yaldabaoth. Yaldabaoth was different from the other divine beings. He didn't know where he came from, and worse, he believed himself to be the only God. Imagine someone waking up in an empty room with no memory of how they got there. Instead of asking questions, they just assume they own the place. That was Yaldabaoth. Ignorant, proud, and completely out of touch with the real cosmic order. Instead of returning to the pleroma, where the true creators could correct the mistake, he hid himself away and started his own creation. But unlike the divine beings, who were created out of wisdom and love, Yaldabaoth created out of ignorance and control. He shaped the material world, filled it with his own flawed design, and declared himself the supreme ruler. This was the beginning of the greatest deception ever told. People would come to worship Yaldabaoth as the one true God, never realizing that he was nothing more than a cosmic accident. But the question remains, if Yaldabaoth is not the true God, then who is? So Yaldabaoth wasn't about creating a paradise. He wasn't some wise, loving God who wanted his creations to thrive. No, he was a control freak. He built this world as a cage, a place to trap souls so they would never realize the truth. And the worst part? Most people don't even see the bars. Think about it. From the moment you are born, the system grabs hold of you. You go to school, where you are taught what to believe and what to ignore. You are told how to behave, what success looks like, and what happens if you step out of line. Then you grow up, get a job, pay your bills, and stay so busy that you never question anything. It's a cycle, and it keeps repeating generation after generation. Yaldabaoth didn't just create the physical world, he created the illusion that this is all there is. He made sure people stayed distracted, stuck in a routine that kept them too occupied to look beyond the surface. Why do you think so many people feel trapped, like they are just going through the motions? Why do we chase money, status, or approval, thinking it will bring happiness, only to find ourselves still empty inside? That's part of the design. And it's not just personal struggles, it's the entire world. Wars, divisions, fear, and chaos, these things aren't random. They are tools to keep us under control. When people are constantly fighting, whether it's over politics, religion, or resources, they don't have time to unite or seek the truth. Every major system, governments, religions, economies, was built to serve this same purpose: control. Even nature itself can be deceptive. The beauty of a sunrise, the comfort of a calm ocean, these things make the world feel like a gift, like something to cherish. But the same world also brings disasters, earthquakes, hurricanes, sickness. It keeps people in a state of uncertainty, always balancing between comfort and fear. It is designed to keep people attached, to make them believe that this life is all there is. But here's the real kicker. Yaldabaoth didn't just trap people physically, he trapped them mentally and spiritually. The biggest trick he ever pulled was convincing people that he was God. Because once people believe that, they don't question the system. They accept suffering as part of some divine plan. They think obedience will bring them salvation. But what if it's all a lie? What if the real goal is to break free, to wake up from the illusion? The world isn't what it seems. If that's true, the next question is, how do we escape it? Let's talk about the Archons. These guys are Yaldabaoth's enforcers, his cosmic hit squad. They aren't just lurking in the background, they run the show, making sure you never figure out the truth. They control governments, religions, economies, and even your thoughts. Yeah, you heard that right. They aren't just manipulating the outside world, they are inside your head, whispering doubts, fears, and distractions. Think about how the world operates. Every time someone starts asking big questions about life, about reality, about who's really in charge, something comes along to shut them down. Maybe they get labeled a conspiracy theorist, maybe their ideas get dismissed as nonsense, or maybe they just get too overwhelmed by everyday life to keep searching. That's the Archons at work. They thrive on chaos, division, and fear. Every major war, every political divide, every religious conflict, you better believe they have a hand in it. They keep people fighting so they never unite, because if humanity ever stopped battling each other and started questioning the system, the illusion would fall apart. That's why history is full of conflicts that seem to go in circles, never truly resolved. And here's where it gets even crazier. The Archons don't just manipulate the world through politics and war, they mess with your personal life too. Ever had a sudden wave of doubt right before making a big decision? Ever felt a sense of hopelessness out of nowhere? That's them, feeding off your emotions. They work through negativity, fear, anger, anxiety, because those emotions keep you trapped in their game. Even the things that are supposed to bring peace, like religion, have been twisted. Originally, spiritual wisdom was about finding freedom, waking up to higher truths, but the Archons turned it into a control mechanism. Instead of guiding people to enlightenment, most religious systems now keep them obedient, fearful, and dependent. Worship becomes submission instead of liberation. So what's the solution? Awareness. The more you recognize their influence, the weaker their grip becomes. It starts with questioning everything. Your thoughts, your beliefs, the systems around you. Who benefits from your fear? Who profits from your struggles? Once you start seeing their game for what it is, you take back control. And trust me, the last thing the Archons want is for people to wake up. Here's where Yaldabaoth made his biggest mistake. He created humans, expecting them to be his perfect little servants, programmed to obey without question. But something unexpected happened. A spark, something beyond his control, entered his creation. This spark wasn't from him. It wasn't from his Archons. It was a piece of something much greater, something divine. Think of it like this. Yaldabaoth made the human body, but he didn't realize it was incomplete. Then, out of nowhere, this spark of pure consciousness of true divinity lit up inside humanity. This wasn't part of his plan. Suddenly, his creations weren't just mindless beings worshiping him. They had something powerful inside them, something he couldn't fully control, and that terrified him. This divine spark is what makes people question things. It's that deep, unshakable feeling that there's more to life than what we see. It's the reason some people spend their lives searching for meaning, looking beyond the distractions, trying to break free from the illusions placed around them. That curiosity, that hunger for truth, it isn't an accident. It's proof that something greater exists beyond Yaldabaoth's false world. But here's the problem. The Archons knew about this spark too, and they did everything they could to keep people from discovering it. They buried the truth under fear, distractions, and false teachings. They convinced people that the physical world was all there was, that suffering was just a part of life, and that obedience was the only way to find peace. But deep down, people still feel that pull toward something bigger. That spark, it's in you. It's in all of us. And the moment you realize that, the chains start to break. The question is, what will you do with that knowledge? They couldn't let this truth get out. No way. If people knew they had a divine spark inside them, that they weren't just powerless beings meant to serve some false god, the entire system would fall apart. So what did they do? They buried the truth, erased the evidence, and burned every trace of it from history. Look at the Library of Alexandria, once the greatest collection of human knowledge. It was destroyed. Why? Because it held ancient wisdom that could have woken people up. The Dead Sea Scrolls, hidden for centuries, contained ideas that challenged religious dogma. Even Nikola Tesla, a man ahead of his time, talked about tapping into limitless energy, something that would have freed humanity from dependence on controlled resources. His work? Suppressed. This isn't a coincidence. The same pattern repeats over and over. Anytime knowledge threatens the system, it gets shut down. Think about ancient civilizations. The Egyptians, the Sumerians, the Mayans. They all had an advanced understanding of the cosmos, energy, and the nature of existence. But mainstream history reduces them to simple cultures that worship gods in the sky. What if they weren't worshiping at all? What if they were documenting something real, something powerful, that we were never meant to see? Even religions have been rewritten. The Gnostics, early followers of hidden wisdom, believed in breaking free from Yaldabaoth's control. They saw the world as a prison, and they taught people how to escape it. What happened to them? Persecuted, wiped out, branded as heretics. Their writings were destroyed, their teachings distorted. Why? Because their message was dangerous. It told people they didn't need to obey, they needed to wake up. This control didn't stop in ancient times. It's still happening today. Schools teach a version of history that keeps people in line. The media floods people with distractions. Social structures keep everyone too busy working, stressing, and surviving to ever question the deeper truths. It's all designed to keep people asleep. But here's the thing. The truth never fully disappears. It lingers in old texts, in myths and legends, in moments of deep intuition, and every once in a while someone stumbles upon it. They start asking questions, connecting the dots. And that's when the system goes into overdrive, labeling them crazy, dangerous, or irrelevant. But the more people wake up, the harder it is to keep the truth hidden. Think about the world we live in today. Why do certain books get banned? Why do some voices get silenced while others are amplified? Why do the people who push boundaries, whether in science, spirituality, or philosophy, often end up ridiculed or worse? The pattern is there. It's always been there. Knowledge is power, and the system can't afford to let too many people hold it. So now the question is, will you dig deeper? Will you look past the lies and seek out what they tried so hard to erase? Because once you see the truth, there's no going back. So if the world is a trap, If Yaldabaoth and his Archons have spent ages keeping people in the dark, then how do we break free? The answer isn't in any church or institution. It isn't something you can buy, and it isn't something you'll hear from the mainstream. It's called Gnosis, deep, personal knowledge that shakes the illusion and wakes you up. Gnosis isn't about believing what someone else tells you. It's not about reading a book and accepting it as truth. It's about experiencing reality beyond what you've been taught. The ancient Gnostics understood this. They knew that escaping Yaldabaoth's control meant looking inward, questioning everything, and peeling back the layers of deception. Think about those moments when life feels strange, when you sense that there's something more, something beyond what you can see. That's the beginning of Gnosis. It's that feeling that the world isn't quite right, that the version of reality we've been given is incomplete. And once you start pulling at that thread, the whole thing begins to unravel. Throughout history, certain groups have practiced ways to reach this understanding. Meditation, lucid dreaming, and deep contemplation. These are tools, not just relaxation techniques, but ways to connect with the truth hidden beneath the surface. Many ancient cultures, from Egyptian mystics to Eastern philosophers, spoke of reaching enlightenment, breaking free from the illusion and stepping into higher awareness. That's what Gnosis is about. But the Archons, they don't want you to discover this. That's why modern life is designed to keep you distracted. Non-stop media, constant stress, an endless cycle of work, entertainment, and obligations. It's all noise to keep your mind too busy to question anything deeper. Because the moment you start thinking for yourself, the moment you stop blindly accepting what you're told, you become dangerous to the system. This is why spiritual seekers, philosophers, and those who challenge the status quo have always been ridiculed or silenced. The ones who dare to look beyond the illusion are seen as threats. The question is, will you be one of them? Will you take the first step toward discovering Gnosis? So, how do you start? Begin by questioning, why do you believe what you believe? Where do your thoughts come from? What if everything you've been told is just one version of the story? Start exploring, seeking truth beyond the surface. Because the more you learn, the more the illusion crumbles, and the freer you become. The war isn't out there. It's not on some battlefield, not between nations, and not even between different beliefs. The real war, it's inside your mind. And the Archons? They've been fighting to control it since the beginning. Think about how often you doubt yourself. That little voice telling you you're not good enough, that you should just go with the flow, that questioning things is pointless. That's not just you, that's programming. That's conditioning. The system has spent centuries perfecting the art of keeping people in line, making sure they never step outside the boundaries of what's acceptable. Every time you hesitate before speaking your truth, every time you push away a deep thought because it feels too much, you're engaging in this war. The Archons don't need to physically control you if they can control your thoughts. They plant seeds of fear, uncertainty, and self-doubt so that you never challenge the illusion. And the more you believe those thoughts, the stronger their grip becomes. But here's the thing. Those thoughts aren't really yours. They've been fed to you from birth. Society tells you who to be, what to think, and what to believe. Schools don't teach you how to think critically, they teach you how to conform. The media doesn't encourage real questions, it keeps you entertained, distracted, and most importantly, obedient. So how do you fight back? You start by recognizing the pattern. When you catch yourself thinking, I can't, stop and ask, why not? When fear tries to keep you in place, challenge it. Is it really fear? Or is it just the illusion keeping you from seeing the truth? The Gnostics understood this. They knew that freedom starts in the mind. The moment you take back control of your thoughts, you start to break free. And once you see past the illusion, the Archons lose their power. The war isn't won with weapons, it's won with awareness. This is why so many spiritual teachers, philosophers, and thinkers have stressed the power of the mind. When you reclaim your own thoughts, you reclaim your life. When you stop letting fear dictate your actions, you step into real freedom. And that's the last thing the Archons want. The battle is happening every single day, not outside but within you. The real question is, are you ready to fight for your own mind? The system is cracking. You can feel it. People are waking up. More and more are questioning everything they've been told, breaking free from the illusion that's kept humanity in chains for so long. The Archons? They're panicking. They're losing control and they know it. Think about how much has changed in the past few decades. Information that was once buried is now resurfacing. Ancient teachings that were hidden or ridiculed are being rediscovered. More people than ever are rejecting fear-based control and looking for deeper truths. And what happens when that starts to spread? The whole system starts shaking. But the Archons aren't going down without a fight. Look around. Censorship is at an all-time high. People who challenge the mainstream narrative are silenced. Fear is being pumped into society like never before. They need people to stay distracted, to stay divided, to stay afraid. Because the moment humanity stops reacting and starts thinking, the illusion collapses. Ever notice how there's always some new crisis? Some new thing to keep you glued to the screen, afraid, worried, angry? That's by design. The more emotionally charged people are, the less they think clearly. And the less they think clearly, the easier they are to control. But despite their efforts, the cracks are too big to fix. The truth is slipping through. More people are waking up, stepping outside the mental prison and seeing the world for what it really is. And that's why you're here. You feel it too. You've sensed that something isn't right, that there's more to reality than what you've been told. That's your spark. That's your key to breaking free. History has shown us that when enough people start questioning, real change happens. Systems that seemed invincible have fallen before. The Roman Empire collapsed. Monarchies that had ruled for centuries crumbled. And now, the illusion created by the Archons is starting to fall apart too. So what now? You have a choice. Keep going through the motions, accepting the illusion, or start looking deeper, questioning more, seeking out the truth. The more people who wake up, the faster the system falls apart. And when it does, real freedom begins. This is it. The moment everything changes. The Archons have spent centuries keeping people in the dark, feeding them illusions and trapping them in a cycle of fear, obedience, and distraction. But now, people are waking up. And they're terrified of that. You've felt it, that spark inside you, that whisper telling you there's more to this life than what you've been taught. That's not just curiosity, it's your soul remembering what's real. It's the part of you they can't touch, no matter how hard they try. And right now, it's stronger than ever. But here's the deal. The Archons aren't going down without a fight. They know their illusion is cracking. So they're working overtime to keep people asleep. More distractions, more fear, more reasons to look away. They need you stuck in their system, believing in their version of reality, because the second you see through it, their power disappears. So what happens next? That's up to you. You can keep going through the motions, accepting the world as it is, or you can step into something bigger. You can start questioning, searching, and breaking free. That's what they don't want. That's what they fear the most. The truth isn't hidden. It's right in front of you. It's in the moments of silence when your thoughts feel the clearest. It's in the questions that won't go away. It's in every part of you that refuses to settle for a life controlled by fear. This isn't just about knowing the truth. It's about living it. You are the glitch in their system. You are the thing they can't control, and that makes you more powerful than you realize. The only question left is, what will you do with that power? So here we are. The truth isn't some far-off mystery. It's been inside you this whole time. The spark, the intuition, the feeling that there's more to life than what we've been told. It's all real. And now, you know why they worked so hard to keep it hidden. For centuries, the system has relied on fear, control, and distraction to keep people from realizing their true nature. But that spell is breaking. The more you question, the more you wake up. The more you wake up, the weaker their grip becomes. This isn't about fighting the system. It's about seeing through it. It's about stepping into your own power, breaking free from the chains of fear, and choosing truth over illusion. The choice is yours. Will you keep following the script they wrote for you, or will you rewrite your own story? Because once you see the truth, there's no turning back. And that's where real freedom begins.